button here. Well, hello. Welcome to another Saturday. Yes, you've reached some place on the internet and you've also reached this particular weird YouTube channel where we talk about geeky things like synths and drum machines and eurorack and God knows what else. Hopefully you can find a beer or something and join us for a couple of hours anyway. And this particular show, we are going to be talking about modular today, eurorack, if you want to call it that. And we're going to talk about how we can minimize a setup so that you can get yourself something pretty small and pretty on a budget and get yourself something so that you can play live and it can complement another instrument. But without further ado, we do have some video guest callers that have rocked up and they've also joined us, which I think is very, very nice of them. And I don't know why they're here. But anyway, let's say hello firstly to Darren. Big hello to you, mate. How's your week been?
Hello. Cold, very cold. Not been able to get out doing what I want to do, but other than that, it's been good. Been okay.
Any deliveries this week or been quiet?
No, well, I'm actually waiting for one. I think it's supposed. It's nothing major, nothing important. It was supposed to be here today, but it doesn't look like it's going to get here, so we'll have to wait before I can do some more cutting. But other than that, it shouldn't be too long. It's looking okay. It's looking, but I think Axel Sock said on one of my videos, I think he said it's looking very roll cagey. Yeah, if you watched the last video last week, you'll have seen bits of it. So
yes.
Yeah,
I was very interested. Very interested. Nice tease, that one.
It's coming along. So hopefully by the end of the month, I'm hoping. Might be, yeah, probably the end of the month. It might be before, but I'll go for the end of the month. The gear won't all be in because I haven't bought it and I can't afford to buy it. But the actual studio itself should be unveiled at some point very soon.
All right. Well, should we do a show on Darren's big reveal? Is that that will be the topic of the show? How's that? Not putting you on the spot.
It's not that amazing to do a show on. No, it's not that amazing to do a show. But I've worked out that if I get the desk that's in front of me, I have 5.5 feet one way and just under 6 feet the other way. So it's a studio built in that gap. So at 5.5 by 6.
So you can't swing a cat in there?
Not really, no. I can just about spin round on the chair if I'm lucky without catching my knees.
All right. Well, so, we're looking forward to the progressions as you're letting little trippets out. That's good. On to the next. We also have Eddie. Big welcome to you. How's your week been? Thanks for joining us again.
Hello, everybody. Nothing to report. Just lockdown, isolation, and playing with toys, basically.
Fantastic. Any new toys or just the same toys?
Any new ones? Not really. I was about to have back from the shop my Trinity, which I'm dreaming to have back. And it didn't happen. I went to collect it and something else went down. It's sad because since I bought it, it had to spend more time in the shop under my fingers. So I really missed it.
It is great. It is a great thing. I can understand why you missed it.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully you get it back soon. All right. And also we've got Dean back. We couldn't keep him away. I don't know what happened there, but Dean, welcome back. Thanks for joining us. How's your week been?
Hey. Yeah. Hi, everyone. Hi, chatties, everybody. Yeah. A bit of a disaster at one point where one of my synths fell off the shelf and smashed 2 of my notes on my CS15. But lucky enough, I've replaced the keys now, so that's good. I brought a new key top at the back.
And it was the heart in the mouth when that happened?
Oh, it was like dominoes. It hit one keyboard, hit my axe, and then it bounced off the axe onto the CS15.
Oh.
And I looked down. I didn't want to look down, and so yeah, it
Ouch.
was a horrible moment. But
I'm sorry that happened, mate. Commiserations. So I guess they're not too hard to replace keys, which is probably It's better than nothing, I guess, but at least you didn't kind of kill it completely. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. And we also have these other people that come in on the show too, which is kind of weird, and I've never really understood why. These are called chatties. Big hello to all of you chatties. And a big thank you firstly before we go any further, because I forgot to say thank you last week to Human Error for his super chat. The £4.99 will go nicely to the beer fund. Now, if you're wondering how to get yourself onto chat, well, obviously on the left is the YouTube chat, and on the right is the Discord. And if you want to do Discord, all you got to do is get yourself onto Discord, follow that URL there, and you can see up the top right, live stream chat channel. Once you're in Discord, you can then be part of that. And also, we also are monitoring Twitter. So if you like tweeting on Twitter, you can Twitter at Ramsey, which is a nice easy one to remember. So we're trying to cover all bases here. But while we got all the chatties here, I thought we'd say hello formally to everyone. Ado Z, Wagoo, Keith in Watford, Andrew Brooks, Mega Mark, Native VS, JP Page 2, Human Error, Mr. Mac, or Stephen, big hello to you, Foxy Nirvana, Axel Soft, Oleg, Grey Wolf, Inky's there, QRDNK, big hello to you. Who else are we going to say? Mark M, Pat Brady, I mentioned before. ASIO Head's there. I'm going backwards this one. Sasquatch is there, big hello. Anyway, I can tell you that Inverted Popes has been in the chat room for 39 hours. Doak's there, or Doak, if you want to. JP Page 2. I think I saw Marcus there as well. And Brett Lemmings, JX3D, big hello to you. Mark M, Wayne Murray, to the start. So if I've forgotten anyone, as I say each week, throw your synth at the screen in disgust, because we can't have you being forgotten about. That's just not on. Anyway, gentlemen, interesting show this week. Now, I will warn you all that we've got a fair bit of news to get through. Now, the news may be some stuff that you've heard about and maybe some stuff that you haven't. And what I thought we'd do first is roll the stinger for the funny side, because, you know, it's not news. It's funny side first. Throw you guys out a bit. Oh, and it didn't glitch. Look at that. Wow. How do you pronounce Moog? I mean, that's the face I make when you're trying to pronounce Moog. I think the easiest way to work this stuff out is literally just look at the waveforms. One of them is the correct. Which one is it? Anyone want to guess?
First one?
Could be.
Not the second one. It's Moog, isn't it? The second one.
The last one's got too much bloody mastering happening on it.
Too much time on hold.
Anyway, we'll move right along.
First one.
That was pretty good. Next one.
Brilliant.
Yes. I don't know where I get this from.
Oh my God. That's good. That's very good.
Now, JX3D sent this one in. He's bought a piano from IKEA.
God.
And you guys all you guys all whinge about how I don't cover enough hardware and software in the show. So how about a bit of both? A bit of hardware and a bit of software.
Well, that's a Moog fanboy.
Oh, you got to have Cuddle Up to your mini Moog, don't you?
Yeah, it's a soft Moog. Look at that. It's a soft.
Oh, isn't it cute?
A real soft.
Okay, so which one was the best meme for the week?
Oh my God.
We have a new synth.
The pregnancy test.
The wee stick? The wee stick. All right.
At least it's a good news.
It is. Well, speaking of news, we should probably...
The question is, will it be analog or digital? Instead of boy or girl.
Doesn't really matter.
Analog.
It's a bit like the gender debate these days, isn't it? You know, you can't go there anymore. All right, speaking of news, let's go to news because we do have a bit to get through. I did promise. No one has told me what city that is. Barcelona, actually. No, can't remember. Anyway, starting off this week, in the description, there's a link to this. It's a audio plugin deals website, and they're having a Valentine's Day sale. So get all romantic and about your plugins. And the reason why I'm bringing it up is because if you missed out on those Waldorf deals that I mentioned, I think it was late last year, they're back and they're at the same price. Here is the website. So have a bit of a gander at some of these. I mean, obviously there's a link in the description. You can go check these out a bit later if I can get the mouse to work. So you can see the Waldorf ones are there down the bottom. There's Largo, there is PPG Wave 3.V, and there's another one, I forget what it is. So there's a few Waldorf ones in there, but a couple of these actually really were quite interesting. Like, for example, if I can find it, this one, which is the rigid audio bundle. And you can see this is the kind of deals that these guys do, $378. I don't know really if that's what it originally costs, but they're giving it to you for $39. Let's click on that. And you can see, this one I thought was interesting. You can see in here that there is a whole bunch of really, really cool stuff. For example, library with Hypermode. Hypernode is a fully modular electronic music arranger with a whole bunch of factory sounds. Then you've got this Aquiver, which is 1,000 deep and soaring granular sounds. And then you've got Pad Station, which is a 5 gigabyte library of multi-sampled pad sounds. This is all for $39. Cinematrix is kind of like different sort of state-of-the-art cinematic loops for Contact. Then you've got Synferno and Supine and 3-in-1 Outer Space Bundle. So there's a whole bunch of stuff in there, and that is just one of the plugin deals. So I thought I'd mention it to you guys because you guys always tell me that I don't talk enough about software. Quick reaction from you guys. Any of those of interest? I mean, obviously there's a lot more than just that, but the Waldorf one or maybe that bundle that I just showed that.
I have to check one by one.
There'll definitely be something there. So I will mention that you've only got a couple of days up your sleeve with most of these. Some of them are a bit longer, but most of these are only a couple of days. So it's one of those things, grab it while it's cheap. If you've got any money left and you do want to throw it at some software, that's probably not a bad way to do it. If you're feeling in the love on Valentine's Day and no one else gets any flowers, so you think, okay, well, bugger it, I'll get some plugins. All right, let's keep going. Now, the real news, the first one. Okay, I was really, really keen on this. Now, I know you guys know that I'll show a bit of Eurorack stuff on my news. It's not always just synths. This is a really, really cool module from ALM. These are the guys. ALM are the guys who do Pamela's New Workout. They do the Sid Guts Deluxe. There's quite a few cool circuits these guys do. This one's called the Jumble Henge, and it's actually in collaboration with Wrong Spelt Wrong. And it's basically a stereo spatial mixer. And you can see there, these have all got, so this is actually a 16 input mixer. So they've got all individual inputs, and you can see the left and the right, and you've got these higher, mids, lows, and it's kind of set up like an EQ matrix. And you'll find out what all that kind of means. You're probably like, what? This will actually kind of really make sense in a sec when I show you the video. But has it to say, for a really small HP module and having 16 inputs and then the ability to out from 2, I'll talk about this a bit later when I start showing the Eurorack stuff. I actually think this is quite a genius module. Let's just see if there's a video lined up. So let's hit the play button.
The Jumble Henge is a compact 16-input stereo spectral mixer with a unique patch-based mixing interface. Both the spectral characteristics and the pan position are determined by the vertical and horizontal location of each jack on the panel, allowing for an intuitive and immediate mixing process. Each input includes its own carefully tuned resonant analog filter to emphasize and create space for every sound, with the overall depth adjusted by the mix control.
So that's a massive 24-minute video there that you can go check out. The link will be, or is already in the description. Gentlemen, I just thought I'd show you this thing because I think a lot of people are scratching their head about what the hell this thing is. Definitely check the video out, even if you're not interested in Eurorack, purely because I actually really think this idea is actually quite super. Basically, they're kind of preset, in the pan sphere, left to right, these inputs. So they're kind of preset. So you've got kind of far right, far left, and then you've got middle, and then you've got stereo sources that will automatically mid to mono in the middle and things like that. And it's kind of, then you've got these highs to low EQ sort of sets. So when you think about your overall mix, you might have a bass drum, you might have some hi-hats and things like that. You're going to be wanting those to be EQ'd in their own little sort of spectral. And what it does is it creates a nice kind of separation of, like, an easy way of getting your mix right in Eurorack if you're not really that good at mixing it at a very basic level, but also it's got some cool features as well. Guys, what do you think of that?
Very interesting.
I looked at it and I thought it was quite good. I really liked it. With it being quite a small footprint for your rack as well, I think it's a good way to get lots in and spread it around, like you say, the space. I mean, it's not what I would need because I use my modular more as a sound source, so I end up doing that afterwards. But for anyone who lives in modular or even uses a modular playing, whether it be live or actually using it as their main system, that's great. It's a great little idea to split all the frequencies up and pan them around where you would normally do when you sit down and mix. So I think it's a great idea,
Yeah, I do too. I agree. Gents, anyone else? Or should we go on to the next item? Next item it is. Okay. Next item is this by Erica Synths. I do like the Erica Synth stuff. The black joystick. What this is basically a 4-channel, 2-axis on each channel, multifunctional sound source. And what it does is it does record the movements, and it has a distinct LFO and drone noise oscillator in it. It provides a great interaction between modular systems, and it allows development of unconventional modulation patterns. Now, you guys might think, this looks familiar. Well, obviously they've got the joystick, so Erica Synths have already got a model out like this, but this is improved. And then you've also got the Planner or Planner 2 from IntelliGel, and I think there's also one from Dopefer as well, as a big kind of massive joystick thing that Dopefer did. But I like it, 8 simultaneous CV outputs, 2 gate outputs, 4 motion record channels, sine and random LFOs with adjustable frequency and amplitude, drone and noise oscillator, and I do have a little video. We all need lots more farting sounds on our Eurorack. Anyway, gentlemen, what do you think of the Erica Synth Joystick 2, Black Joystick 2? Anyone want to have a comment on that one?
Yeah, I like that quite a lot.
All right, Dean's got the chair for a sec.
Yeah, I like that. It's like, reminds me of the SY22 with the vector synthesis.
Yes.
And I like that kind of random control that, you don't know what you're getting when it comes out. And that ability to modulate and do the CVs and stuff. So I like that. I'm going to dip my toe in the modular world very soon. So looking at that.
I mean, I've got the IntelliGel Planar 2, which is very similar, and I'm just sitting over here. And I love it. I use it all the time. So if you do like modulation and you like to sort of control movement and record that some way, that's kind of a cool way of doing it. Gents, anyone else want to have a quick comment or before we move on to the next?
There's one question, because I haven't seen the video. Does it state where you seated, or is it one of those like return to center?
Oh, I didn't notice that. Let's have a quick look. Looks like it stays. Oh, someone else can watch the video and find out. The Planner 2 stays wherever you put it. So, yeah. But anyway, look, there's a few of these out. So they're not it's not like it's groundbreaking new. It's only got its quirkiness in the module itself. There's a few things that are different about it than the Planner 2, etc. So anyway, that is that. Right, going on to the next. We've got this one, the Klok Blok. And this is by a company called Instruments. And this is a utility tool for clocking. And these are always very, very handy because you might want to have a master clock coming in, and then you've got a whole bunch of stuff that you want to drive coming out. And in this case, it's got what did I say? 12 outputs. It's got 2 LFOs, a slow LFO and a fast LFO, which you can also connect up to gear with. And I do have a video. Let's have a look at Klok Blok.
Okay, hello, good morning. This is Pautas, Error Instruments, and welcome. I'm gonna show something new. This model, it's called the Klok Blok. This is a prototype version. It's with the green LEDs and the silver. And we're not sure if we're gonna make it in this color combination, but I like always to make crazy things. So we make 5 of these ones, not so much. The Klok Blok hard. So in the middle, and then you can.
So you can see it's dividing. So some of those are triggering at different intervals. And that is the beauty of this. Now, there are lots of clock dividers out there. There's plenty of them. This one has a kind of cool looking interface. If you're into that, I don't mind the green sort of triangle looking LEDs on it. Looks pretty cool. Pamela's new workout could probably do everything this can do and more. That's just an example. But look, it's not too bad. It's $199 available now if you want to get that. Any comments or thoughts about that one, the Klok Blok?
It's got flashing lights, so yeah, anything with flashing lights. You know what happened when I bought the last flashing light thing. It just makes everything look good. So even if you can't use it and you don't know what it does, it's flashing lights.
So you just turn it on and turn your lights off and watch it.
Yeah, and just watch it. Yeah, a bit like I did with the Polygo for the first 2 hours of just sat there watching it.
Fair enough.
But yeah, no, you can't beat little clock modules like this. So yeah, it's another one. This is the thing with modular though. Every other day, some new module comes out or someone's designed one in the back shed, and it's like, this is why people get lost in modular. It's just blending.
Yeah, the one in the video a prototype, and the ones that they released now, which are available, are kind of a different color. So yeah, anyway, they're the ones that you'll be getting if you buy one. It's a little bit different. I think the other one was kind of grey with green, wasn't it? Eddie, did you want to say something? I can't remember if you had your hand up.
No, just obviously, well, sorry to say that I don't have physical eurorack. I do VCV rack, and I find myself using that utility a lot. I find it extremely useful. Having one speed for the clocking of the general theme you're putting together, and then having subdivisions for all the things that you want. I mean, that's the way I love doing it.
I think it's one of the powers of eurorack, whether it's VCV or actual physical eurorack or modular. It's one of the powers of it, I think. And one of the things that I think we were talking about master clock a few weeks ago on the show, where we were talking about some of those those really cool MIDI clock devices that you can buy, and some of them do subdivisions and multipliers as well. And there's not enough of that in the MIDI world. So, but watch this space. There's something that I will be showing in the near future that will excite those people who have got normal synths and have got MIDI stuff. Yeah. Anyway, we shall move on. Before we do, I will mention to you that the other two products were pretty similar price. So the Erica Synths Joystick, which was that one, that's 210, and the Jumble Henge is 250, I think. Let me just scroll back. Yeah, 250. And they're all available now, which is good news. So if you want it, you can get it, which is, I think, quite rare when you show a lot of stuff on the show and it takes a year or 2 years before you actually can get it. I mean, we talked about the S2400 just before.
Style.
Yeah. Now, next thing, we should go back to here. This one. I think we need to mention that it's a bit sad that Chic's passed, and I don't know if you guys know who he is and his legacy. He was a famous jazz keyboard player, and you can see in that picture that he had a big love for synthesizers as well. Many synthesizers. In fact, probably a lot of Moog stuff would probably be his legacy, and obviously he loved the Hammonds and the Rhodes and things like that as well. But yeah, bit sad for him to go. We're losing a few good people this year and last year, I feel. So
Too many.
anyone want to make a quick comment about Chic, if they know him or of him?
He will be missed.
Eddie, you want to go first?
Yeah, he will be missed. I mean, as you said, well, in a way, all the good ones are going out, and me myself, I'm a little reticent to see what's coming next, because there is a new wave of really brilliant musicians, and thanks to social media nowadays, we've seen a bunch of them. But myself, I don't see them getting to the mainstream. So the future of the radio formula is really scary.
Well, nobody's been able to play live for over a year. I mean, that's the hard part.
I don't know, but I mean, the scene and the atmosphere of what is happening on music, on the mainstream, on the common media for everybody, for the mass, is like, apart from very vanilla, extremely underusing what we've come so far in music. It's like they deleted the hard drive and started again from scratch.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, there's people that have been unfound. That's probably the thing there. There's lots of talent out there. Like every corner that I touch through my channel, I'm always blown away the amount of talent that's out there. So they just haven't been put onto the main stage.
It's not a lack of talent.
Yeah.
There's heaps and heaps of talent everywhere. The problem is what it gets to the mainstream is really disappointing in comparison.
Well, yeah, it's either the sex cell sort of, formula, and the people that look sexy aren't necessarily great musicians. That could be half of the problem.
There's a quote I loved, I read years ago, that said that music was better when ugly people was allowed to play it.
Yeah, I remember that one. That was a great one. Yeah, absolutely.
I do.
Yeah, well said, Eddie. Well said. All right, well, I think we should also mention, while we're talking about people that have passed, and a really great documentary came out headed by a fantastic guy called Dave Spears. Now, we all know Dave Spears. If you don't know Dave Spears, if you've never watched Sonic Stay, he's on there. But he also is the co-owner of GForce Software with Chris McLeod. And both of these gentlemen have, so you can just go check it out if you haven't actually ever heard of it. He's releasing kind of sections to it. Now, if you don't know who Dave Spears is, he is this gentleman here. Have a look at his synth cave, eh? Have a look at that. You've got the 4-voice Oberheim. He's got a CS80. He's got
yes.
he's got the Moog modular there. He's got ARP Odysseys, ARP 2600s. I think he may have a 2500. He has a System 100. I'm very jealous of him because of that. Plus many more amazing synths. And
808.
that's his job. He his software package that he gets makes some amazing stuff. But yeah, Bright Sparks. I think it's amazing that that is available now for free. So big thank you to you, Dave, and Chris as well for making that available to everyone. I mean, I'll say that I purchased it way back, and I'm more than happy to purchase any new additions to it. But if you haven't watched it, definitely go watch it because it's some really great people that for example, he talked to the great ARP guy, Alan Perlman. Before he died, he was in his 90s when he was interviewed. So, that stuff you'll never, ever see. That's really, really like special, that sort of stuff. So taps into the Moog family, all sorts of stuff there. It's really, really good. There is one more segment. Let's see if we can get through them. We'll do the Price Watch segment, because there were some really good ones. First one that came in was from Glitch. Was from Berg. Everyone knows Berg. He just sent this one in, which I thought was pretty cool. If you're into playing cards, you can get these Boss playing cards for that sort of money. I don't know if it's really worth that. So that might be a scam. And the other thing too is not all these are always scams. I mentioned that some of these are real. So look at this one, for example. If you want to get a Neve, this is the sort of money that you're looking at. Wow. This is Australian dollars, so halve it for pounds, 200,000 pounds for a Neve desk. That's only a 16 channel, by the way. It's only a baby, that one. Hey? Who wants to get a Neve desk?
At least comes with patch bay.
We don't always show desks in here. But speaking of TR909s, Dean, £4,500 for a TR909. Would you pay that?
Nope.
It's just too much.
Isn't it?
Nope.
And I just did these. I was in the shopping mall today and I thought, I'll just have a look on Reverb. And look what's coming up on Reverb. VCS3 for £16,000.
Ouch.
I mean, seriously, like, you could get someone to make one cheaper, like a quarter of the price. Like, you would literally just say, look, here, I'll rent out a workshop. You can have a soldering iron, you can have a saw, you can do anything you like, and I'll pay you a standard engineer's wage, and you'd still come out in front than buying this piece of crap, right? That will probably fall apart. Anyway, there's the price watch, and really am getting pissed off about these glitches. Sorry, guys, I really apologise. I don't know what is going on.
It's okay.
I thought I fixed them, but obviously we hadn't. So I'm going to be...
You should know, back in the past, when you think you fix something, you know it's going to come back.
Yeah. Look, it could be signs of something wrong with the computer, like graphics card or memory or something. Who knows? Probably due for an upgrade. Right. Okay. Main show. Now, I did mention to you all that we are going to be doing a show about modular, and we're going to be doing a show about the basic sort of setup. Now, I know you guys here aren't all modular people, so you'll be watching with interest, I think. And then there's some people here like Dean who wants to get into it, and then there's people like me and Darren who are already feeling really bad because we're already into it. No, I'm just kidding. So what I did was I went into my gear here, right? And I thought to myself, right, I'm going to pull some modules out of this gear. And I'm going to go, right, what would be kind of a real sort of basic sort of setup that would get me onto a live gig sort of setup that I could lug around with me without too much drama. I mean, I could probably put it in a backpack. And I would need definitely to complement this. Apologise for all the glitching video. Sorry about that. So you're probably going to need like another keyboard or a guitar, or maybe just use your voice, whatever. So you'll need something melodic to go with this. So this does have some melodic elements to it, but this is probably more the sequenced stuff that you're going to be looking at, and then you'd add you know, your ad-lib melodic stuff to it. Guitar, you know, whatever. What is that guitar rubbish? Get a synth, a peak or something like this.
What's that? I'm here.
Right, okay. So let's have a look what I've got first. We'll start with trying to get the mouse to work. And we'll go to here. Hey, look at that nifty case. Came in handy, didn't it, Darren? Hey? Let's just talk quickly about what all this is, right? Don't worry about the spaghetti. So I thought you've got to have a basic synth voice. This is a great module for a basic synth voice because it's got a VCO, a VCF, and a VCA. What does all that mean? Most people should know what that means if they've got a synth. So that's your basic synth voice. It only takes up a small amount of HP, as you can see there. So that's really good. What it doesn't have is it doesn't have an envelope generator. So that's the next module next to it, which is by Frequency Central. And that's just a single EG there. The great thing about this is it's actually, it's got two, so it's a really, really great envelope generator. Also, I always recommend that you must have something to modulate things with. And there's nothing better than having an LFO. And there's nothing better than one LFO, but 4 LFOs. And not even that, but you can also clock these LFOs and then you can also phase them and all sorts of cool stuff. So the Batumi by Chaos modules is really good. Extension potty. You don't need it if you buy this, but and you don't need this sort of elaborate LFO. You could just go with a single LFO, but you definitely need some sort of LFO. And you can see why this, you've got 4 LFOs and they're all running at different rates. So definitely an LFO. Now, that will just do a bit of synth voice. So what's so special about that? Nothing. Just an expensive case and expensive just to get a mono synth. Well, this is more than that because you've also got the Ranzoon module. This is actually a rings module by Mutable Instruments, and this is the hacked firmware version. It's open source, so it's not really, but you could just get a rings module from them if you want, but I like the Ranzoon because it's got a cool name. And if you're wondering who does Ranzoon, it's CowSynth. There you go. CowSynth in the United States of America. Hi to all those people in California watching. They're probably asleep. They're probably not watching at all. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, well, I also need some drums. And, you know, Eurorack drums, come on. Surely they're not the greatest things for drums. Actually, no, they are. They're really, really cool. And these are Erica synth modules. There's 2 of them. So this is the drums. And the good thing about these is they take up very, very little space. They're both 2 HP modules. The drums actually has 2 sounds coming out of it. And the drum 2 is a synthesis voice type drum, which you can muck around with so you can get some nice sound palettes. What else I've got? Before I talk about the mixer, I've also chucked the Dystopia. This, it doesn't really matter what else to put in here. I just wanted something interesting, something to glitch things up. So in this case, I'm using the Bit Crusher. I've got noise, I've got drums, I've got a nice digital sounding plucky sound, and I've got a proper analog synth. And all of this, Darren, are you sitting down, is being driven by
No.
the BeatStep Pro, because the BeatStep Pro has a drum track and 2 sequencer tracks. And with a drum track, you can, I think you can sequence up to voices coming out of that, or gates coming out is probably a better thing to do. So those drum modules from Erica Synths are actually pretty handy to have. And before I demo it, I just thought, let's get a bit of feedback from the chatties, see what they thought first. Chatties, what do you think of that? So for that sort of setup, is that a kind of cool thing? Do you think I'm missing anything? I didn't talk about the mixer yet. I will talk about it in a sec. So let's have a quick look what the chatties are saying. I could make my own Bit Crusher simply by using a quantizer, I could, but we're not kind of getting there. Yeah, the mixer is way too big, I agree, says Sensien, sorry. So you could probably get that new one from ALM that we were talking about today, and that's even probably way too much for this. Okay, so probably thinking, no, not really helping me because I haven't heard it yet. I think that's why a lot of us work, right? We kind of need to hear things before we kind of make a decision. Now, as you guys know, whenever I demo things, it always sounds like crap. So, so let's do the drums first. And that was glitching then, by the way. That's actually the right thing now. Right, so we've got the 3 drum voices, and we can mute each part. So that is the drum 2 firing off, and I can change the way that sounds. So a bit of fun with that while you're playing it, and then obviously the kick and the hat. You can change that. The drums module, you've got a whole bunch of samples in that you can change too. So you're not stuck with the kick and the hat. That's just me, and I've decided to use that. All right, what else have we got? We've got, let's look at the Behringer. Let's see what that sounds like. Pitching up again. Jesus. Put some drums with it. I've got LFO happening on the filter, plus I've got an EG happening, so you can really that snappy envelope. Remember I was telling you about that? All right, so we've got some bass, we got some drums, and we can also add those glitched up sounds with the clouds, sorry, the rings module. Now you can muck around with all this while you're playing live to get all different sort of sound effects, and that's kind of the whole thing with this. But then you're going to need, this is all sequenced, right? But you might want to All right, so that was just a real quick rundown, but obviously you'd not, you know, you could put some chords over the top.
Now it's getting very interesting.
Anyway, you get the idea. So building up. It's really just a matter of coming up with something that kind of whets your appetite. You might not like any of those modules. You might think the whole thing sounds like absolute naff. Good on you if you do. I just think you've got some things to play with. Anyway, guys in the chat, let's see what you think. So far, so good. You don't like doing modular drums as human error? Okay, we did say let's talk about the mixer. And I agree, the mixer's probably overkill. But I've got all 6 inputs used up. Now, 2 of them, admittedly, are coming from the rings, okay, because I've got them panned left to right. You can see that if I move these cables out of the way. I don't know if you can see the pans left there and right there. So the actual rings module is a stereo module. You can actually run it as a mono, in which case you can muck around with the settings and make it mono. You can also tune it and all sorts of other stuff. You can add FM. I've actually got, speaking of the rings, I've actually got a bit of modulation happening on the structure side, which kind of makes it detuney, especially when you increase the dampener on it. And it just really, let me just show you here. See that? How it sort of waves around. And that's this LFO here. You can... crazy shit happening, right? All right. So the other thing I've got happening is on that bass sound, I've actually got bass sound happening twice. And this is one of the reasons why multi-port mixer on Eurorack can be good, because let's just do the bass sound for a second. I'll show you what I mean. Right, let's get this happening a bit louder. So you can hear there's a bit crushy sound as well. The bit crushy sound is this one. And you just merge it with the actual raw sound. It just kind of gives a bit of difference. That's the whole thing about music, making sound a little bit less boring and different. I mean, this is terribly boring, but you guys get the idea. And I kind of love modulating things, so that's why a nice, decent sort of options with LFO is in there is good. But the reason why I like the roller mixer, and there's other mixers that are good, is because you've got some performance elements that you can do with this, the faders, the mutes, the pans. Very, very handy to have, because you can just quickly cut something off, you can fade something in, and it's kind of good little performance things. And believe it or not, a lot of this, I didn't have to touch much of it because I'm using the LFO to do those duties for me. Knobs here, I mean, I didn't even have to touch the filter. I was using the big fat EG knobs to sort of muck around with that. So it's kind of designed by choice. Okay, gentlemen, video chatty gentlemen. Comments, thoughts?
Very nice.
Reverb, you need a reverb unit.
Oh yeah, look, the Dystopia could have been a Disting from Expert Sleepers, or it could have been a Clouds, I could have put the Typhoon in there. Probably had room for the Typhoon in there. Agreed? I've got reverb on my mixer. I could put it. Yeah, I agree. Look, let's.
Yeah, I would say reverb, because if you're really making a mess of it, or you can't get anything to sound good, then you can just whack the reverb up and it's going to sound good, even if it's just glitches and blotches. So that way you'll always feel good when you've got your little modular starting.
Let's just reverb this for a sec. It's a really crappy mixer bass reverb, but you're right, it does add. I mean, obviously I'd like to put like a Big Sky or a Black Hole or something over that. It'd sound awesome. But I think the other part of the reverb, Darren, would be that you wouldn't want to have reverb on your kick and this. You know what I mean? Like there's things that you'd want reverb on and not. Okay.
Why not?
Yeah, it depends on, exactly. It depends on what you're doing.
You'll be on it before you know it, Eddie.
Right.
Sorry, say that again.
You'll be a meme before you know it.
Me? I mean, I like reverb on percussion, just a different amount.
Oh, of course. I'm only kidding around, by the way. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, like Dean, you're kind of wanting to cross over the void to Eurorack. What would you be doing? Would you be doing a small skiff like this, or would you be doing like a proper cabinet and put modules in?
Yeah, no, I think I really like the idea of that small setup, just like what you've got there. Really does intrigue me.
No, Dean. Looking at your studio, within about a month of getting modular, that one of those walls will be full of a modular.
Yeah, I do agree. Yes, I was speaking to Andertons and a guy there was chatting away to me and helping me out, like where I should get started. And funny, I did say I want a case roughly about 4 foot by 4 foot. You know, so because I know where I'm going to end up. I know it's going to happen. You know.
Yeah.
Now,
I do like that traveling idea. Yeah, I do like that traveling idea. I've got the BeatStep Pro over there, and my little rig over here at the moment is with the semi-modular stuff going on.
Yeah.
I've just got a little, you know, all that going on. So yeah, I do that little train, you know, sitting on the train or you know, you just headphones on, BeatStep on the lap, and little modular sitting next to me. Yeah, brilliant.
Couple of things I'll mention. So before we kind of get into couple of things I'll mention, I just wanted to quickly flag a question. So Stephen's asked, is the quarter outputs on the Roland mixer? No, they go into the PreSonus mixer, which is a 1602, same mixer that Berg uses. I've had it for years. That's it there. Okay. Well, that's the graphic part of it. Actually, if you're wondering where the mixer is, it's literally behind. It's underneath. This is on like a little monitor stand, and it's actually underneath this. The thing I was going to mention just briefly was with the Nifty case, there's a whole bunch of stuff built into the case that I haven't even touched. So, for example, it's got MIDI, USB, and DIN at the back, and it's also got its own real basic type of line-out VCA. There's no control over the VCA, but it's got 2 inputs, and you've also got a modulation and a clock source, and it picks all that up from MIDI. So that's actually another thing that you can use in this too. So and you can see with my case, I've used all CV from the BeatStep coming out the back of the BeatStep here. So that's why the spaghetti mess is there. But the good thing about CV is it's just so tight. Everything is just so tight about it. That's what I love about it. Now, chatties, more questions and comments. So Human Error is asking, is it possible to dabble in modular? I think it probably takes, I don't know, a bit of self-discipline. Would you guys agree with that, Darren? It takes, like, if you want to dabble in it, it takes a bit, like I said, it takes a little bit of sort of self-discipline. Native VS says his modular hasn't expanded for months, so there you go.
Neither's mine.
I mean, Sasquatch has said semi-modular. What Dean was saying is you're looking at something like a Mother 32, or if you want the cheaper version of it, a Cray from Behringer. That's kind of good. Or there's plenty of examples out there that's semi-modular. Yeah, that's a good start. And you can use the BeatStep, Dean, with that sort of stuff, as you know. I'd say, yeah, someone price that up. That's something that I didn't get around to doing because
And let me be devil's advocate. How much bigger would it get to put the BeatStep Pro functionality, all the built-in right now, inside the eurorack? How much bigger would it get?
Sorry, the cut out a little bit. So how much would it be to put the BeatStep Pro inside?
BeatStep Pro outside, if all this power would be inside the rack, how much bigger would it get?
Well, so the BeatStep Pro is basically a step sequencer, right? Mm-hmm. So you can get there's plenty of modules out there that do this step sequencing. Philogel Metropolis, there's a Behringer one I've showed. There's the Moleco voltage block and variegate. There's you have to get 2 modules to make it. For example, if you looked at the Moleco voltage block and variegate 8, that is 8 tracks and 8 CV controls. Or you could do the variegate 4 and the voltage block, which is 8 CVs and 4 gate, because you don't always necessarily need as many gates as you have as pitch. So you could have sharing the same gate, for example. One of the tricks, while we're at it too, Eddie, just kind of while we're talking, one of the tricks I did with this setup is, maybe this view's better. On the drum track, on the 4th note, I don't know if you can see. Yeah, so can you see all those steps? Every second step, sorry, every odd step is lit up here.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm using that as a gate. That's going into the LFO. That is actually the trigger of the LFO. If I want to clock my LFO, I can clock it based on these steps. Now, the other cool thing about it is it doesn't have to be an even thing like this. I could have every odd step and then a couple of steps all together and then a gap. It could be kind of like a trance gate type thing where it's not an even, beat. Yeah. And that then is clocking your LFO, and everything will then be based on the original kind of trance gate type thing. So there's some really cool things you can do.
I know I've never tested or studied the BeatStep Pro deeply. It looks like it does a ton. And that's why my question, how many modules would be necessary to match up all the power inside that little thing? Because to me, I'm thinking about modules.
Feature for feature, probably the Moleco, someone in the chat would probably say something different. There's a lot of sequencer modules out there. Go have a look on, even like Ornaments and Crime can do, there's heaps of stuff out there that you can do sequencing on. Go have a look on Modular Grid and just click on, because it's all kind of, it's got filters on it, and then you can go in and filter it for sequences, and you'll just see heaps in there. Yeah. And there's links to videos and things on each of them. So it's actually a pretty good, cool site, modulargrid.net.
I think the Hermod, because I think he's asking the amount of features you've got in the BeatStep in one module. So I think things like the Hermod would be pretty close to that. Maybe the Eloquencer, that's pretty close.
Eloquencer is good, yep.
I think they're closer to the BeatStep Pro as having the amount of features.
X101 said the circadian rhythms could replace a BeatStep.
Yeah.
How do you do sort of polyphonic stuff in a modular? It's actually pretty easy. So for example, we talked about the voltage block by Moleco, which is an eight track or voice, if you want to call it, sequencer. And you could have that set up to playing multiple voices in a synth module. So say, for example, I decided I wanted all my voices to be this System 100 type A. I don't know if you'd need to buy this particular one, which is the all-in-one module, but you can buy the dual VCO. So you could buy 4 dual VCO modules and then, and an envelope generator, a VCA, and a VCF, and you've got yourself an eight voice, synth. And then you would then need to poly. So there's modules out there that do polyphonic, so a MIDI version, like for example, the Expert Sleepers FH2 does it, where you literally have a CV connection per voice coming out of that module. I don't have it in camera to show you, but it's next to me. It is literally right there. So you could do something like that. And there's plenty of others that do that sort of stuff. So that would be kind of how you do it. I don't know, like I've done recently where I was talking about the quantizer is a 4-voice quantizer. And that's actually pretty cool for doing polyphonic 4-voice, and it's all quantized. So, and you could use Turing machines to drive it. It's actually really, really good fun. So there will be a video on that soon, actually, because I've been mucking around with that recently. Is there a renaissance of the 90s gears? Is 30 years ago these days, having noticed that there are many gears that often can compete with today's new gears? I think there's definitely romanticness about, I would say probably more the 70s and 80s gear. Maybe a bit of the 90s. I think the 90s is starting to kick in now. There's a bit of an FM revolution happening, and that was kind of more late 80s, mid to late 80s. I always felt the 90s was more that menu diving bloody LCD with no knobs type synth, the romplers. That was how I remember the 90s. But also there was some really, really good drum machines and samplers that came out in that era too. So I would say, that's when the MPCs and like that sort of, that was their era. I kind of feel that there's a bit of everything. at the moment. I think we're just so lucky. We've got lots of cool stuff. Yeah, so there's marbles, there's another module. There's plenty. Whatever I don't mention, I'm sure there's a million other modules. That's actually the danger of Eurorack. You could actually buy a module because someone said it's a good module to get, and you probably don't gel with it. Just like a synth, it's no different. You buy synths and sometimes you don't gel with them, right? So the thing is, don't hold on to it. If you don't gel with it, move it on. So, I mean, I've got modules I've got here that I probably will move on very soon, and you just sell them used. And I find one good thing about modules is they usually hold their value. So you might lose a few, you might lose 10%, 15% if you bought it new, and you could still part with it. So I still think that's pretty good. And you've got, it's kind of like looking at it as a rental sort of arrangement in that sense. You kind of have a little small fee that you've paid to rent it for that long, and then you can move it on. And the ones that you love, you keep. Like, so for right now, I forget who it was telling me that they want to get themselves into sort of more drum side of the Eurorack side. And I kind of agreed. I like actually, at the moment, I'm really enjoying the drum synthesis stuff in the Eurorack stuff, because you can really muck around with gates and, LFOs, high rate LFOs, and tripping the sort of different sounds out. It's really, really cool fun. And also the drum synthesis side. You don't need actual drum sample modules. You can just use like a Behringer 110 module and use the old-fashioned way of creating analog drum sounds that way. So you might remember before when I was playing that was really squealing. Yeah, really squealing that filter. So, and a System 100 filter is beautiful. So yeah, keep the boxes. Yeah, definitely keep your if you're going to be buying modular gear, keep your boxes. They're only little boxes. And even in my case, I know I talked about throwing out the Behringer boxes recently. I didn't throw out my modular Behringer boxes. I threw out the big, massive, stupid Behringer boxes that really just didn't make sense, taking up all that space. And then I think next week we've been asked to do a topic on virtual analog synths. So it'll be interesting. Don't really know yet. Maybe we'll compare it to analog and see where we go with it. But I think there's a few people that are kind of keen on that. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this week. Darren, you got a video coming out tomorrow?
Tomorrow, I'm not going to say what it is, but you'll just have to look on the channel, basically. Yeah, it's just something I'm working on, so it's just a hint and a glimpse of what I'm doing and what it is to do with the album. So that's all I'm saying. You'll just have to look.
Okay. 4 o'clock UK time?
Yeah.
There we go.
4 o'clock UK
Cheers,
time.
David. I'll just say quick. Yeah. No, thanks, everyone. Yeah. Thanks for the show and thanks for the sharing of all the sharing is caring. And just this week, got to move some stuff down around with the semi-modular stuff over here. So I'm linking all that up this week, and then finish off the audio routings and MIDI. That's me done for the week, and hopefully next week I'll be all up and running.
We shall finish the show with a big signing off. See you later, everyone. Enjoy your weekend, and see you next week. Catch you later.